The pantheon of giant gods, legends of the Vonindod, scourge of all dragonkind, settler of the war. In the temple, Harshnag tells us stories of the past. Tales of war twixt dragons where his people were outcast. Is this hatred all long gone? Perhaps somewhere it rages on. The adventure continues.
When the battle came to an end, we did not win the battle, I should say this. The giant kind did not win. It was a stalemate. The dragons realized that the Vonindod was an incredible piece of weaponry which would wipe them out. And a stalemate was formed, a truce was formed, and this is also part of the reason that Anam felt the need to abandon us, was the feeling that we had not been able to deal with the dragons in full. Part of that truce, I understand, was that the Vonindod would be torn apart and split across the land so as to ensure that it would not ever be built again.
Oh. Interesting.
It sounds like... I think somebody intends to rebuild it.
This is possible in this day and age, knowing that my cousins, the other giants, are looking to take hold of all of giant kind to set themselves apart again. It would not surprise me if others, particularly the fire giants, were considering finding those pieces of the Vonindod. It is only our truce and our self-respect which has stopped this happening in the past. As he was walking around, you noticed when he was sort of pointing out the other giants, he sort of when he stopped, when he was describing each of them, giving them names, he sort of did take a bit of a split second when he was pointing to Memnor, but he didn't say anything at that time, and he just says, "As I was telling you about these giants, I have noticed that Memnor is without a weapon. All of these other giants have a weapon, but Memnor does not. I would have expected perhaps a spear or some kind of weapon there. It is interesting that he does not have anything."
Do you have any idea why that could be?
I have no idea, Krill. This is the first time that I have been in this place. I was not entirely sure I would ever get to see it. I knew that this was my plan. I knew that this was something that I spoke to you about all those weeks ago to try and bring us here. But if I'm honest, I was slightly worried that this would be a wild goose chase and that I had got concerned with a myth that did not exist. The fact that we are here is confounding to me.
Is this almost like a pilgrimage then for the giants?
This is a place that was, is in itself centuries old, and not something that giants have possibly used, or certainly not used regularly, and maybe only a few knew about it or knew about its location. I mean, Harshnag himself didn't even know where it existed. He's been part of his mission has been to try and find where it was, and it was only fortunately enough that he found someone that suggested that he needed this peak pendant, which obviously we went through and all that sort of stuff. So this is a place that people would come. It's got religious connotations. It's got spiritual connotations. This is a huge, like you say, a haven somewhat for giants. So you've looked around these giants, these giant statues. You've asked Harshnag, what's your next thing to do? I think one of the things I didn't describe was there's also 4 sets of doors that lead out of this room, as well as this archway to the east. Sorry, 5 if you include the one that you've just come out of. So there's two giant doorways to the north and 2 giant doorways to the south. leading out of this room.
Have
They're
we
all
asked
covered in
Harshnag-
ice.
Sorry, have we asked Harshnag yet if he knows where Claude's fork's gone? It's not a fork; it's a trident. But same difference.
No, he brought it up. He said something along the lines of it is odd that that there is no weapon there.
Yeah.
But beyond that, he doesn't know, or at least I don't think you asked him. But
Yeah.
No, yeah, he just made a special point of
highlighting it.
highlighting Memnor's missing weapon.
Okay.
What can we see to the archway, through the archway to the east? Because it seems to be like glowing and lit and everything.
Okay, so you walk over to it, or
Yeah.
What can we see from where we are at the moment?
okay,
I assume
so there's
nothing
this.
dangerous, and then we'll go over. And...
Yeah, that's fine. So even from this distance, what you can see is there's an archway which is about 40 foot wide and 40 foot tall. You can see that this archway is obviously a traditional sort of nice curved top. You can see that there are some markings. So without getting too close to them, you can't really make out too much. But around this archway, there are some markings. In the archway itself, you can't see anything. It is glowing, and there appears to be like a mist just sort of cascading and moving around
Dark
this
Souls boss
archway.
door.
There's like health packs and like it says a save point just outside the door. It's really strange.
Can I go over to the runes and read the runes, please?
Okay, you go over to the runes and get quite close. And what I will do is anyone else going with Gregor?
Yeah, I'm over there.
Yeah,
I'll
stick
have a
with
look
him.
with
If
them as
everyone
well.
else is gone, I shall saunter over.
Of course you will. Okay, I will. So as you approach them, you can see various runes carved around this archway in the blocks. You sort of look at the not only are they carved into the stone, but you can tell that they've been inlaid with something. Roll me a perception, all of you.
Ooh, 24.
Possibly.
Oh,
That's enough.
that was bad.
16.
Anyone
7.
Anyone above 15, not that it really matters, but anyone above 15 believes that the inlay is mithril. As you look at the archway, you look at these runes, and some of it looks fairly familiar to you. I'm going to show you this on the screen. I've just popped something up on the map.
It's the flash sheet. It's a tattooist. It's a flash sheet, Krill.
Which one's Krill getting?
Which one's he already got?
Krill already has what I think is top left.
Yes, I believe so. So there are these 6 symbols carved into it, and they are various shapes and sizes, very ornate curvature. Lots of things that look a little bit like an E, lots of things that look a little bit like a Y. I will try and share an image of this on the social media when this comes out, so you can see what it's like. But yeah, there's various runes. You as a party have seen some of these already.
Yeah. So we know they're different giants, right? That's what they are.
That's what you would surmise, and just yeah. So you have seen. There should be actually in your journals on Roll20. There should be I think you've seen 3 before. So there's one on the very right of sort of middle right of the archway.
Yeah.
Which you've seen before, which I believe was the one you saw in there was that rock, that tablet that you saw in Lord Von Rickenton's house, which looks a bit like an E and a Y next to each other. You don't know what type of rune that is, but you do recognise it. You've seen it before. The second one that you've seen before is located the opposite side of the archway, so middle on the left. And this is something that you saw on a pendant around, I think Krill saw this, on a pendant around Zephyros's neck. So you would surmise that's probably something to do with cloud giants. The third one that you saw, I think you might have seen on Ildomain, possibly. And this one is located top left.
That's hill giant, isn't it?
No, fire. That's
Is
a
it
fire
fire?
giant one. Yeah.
So which one has Krill got?
You've got the
Tattooed.
top left one.
Yeah.
You've got
but-
no. The one you've got tattooed is the middle one, the first one I mentioned, because it was you had it tattooed so that you could show Zephyros. And actually on that front, he might have even told you. So I'm going to tell you. I have a funny feeling he might have actually told you what it was. So that he said that was for stone giants.
Okay.
So he said that one was stone giants. The one opposite is, although you didn't necessarily, I'm not sure whether you questioned him on it, but that one was being worn by Zephyros, so you assume it's cloud giant, and the one above it would have been fire giants. So you don't know what the other. You know that there are 3 other runes inlaid in here, but you don't necessarily know who they belong to, and more importantly, what they are.
Okay.
That should be in your journals now on Roll20. So if ever you need to refer back to it, you can do so. Okie dokie. So yeah, you look at this and you can see this mist. As I say, while you're looking at this, maybe not all of you are looking at the runes themselves, but you can see this mist that's sort of like roiling and moving all around in the archway. And there's this faint glow that's leading out from behind it, but you can't see anything beyond the mists.
As nobody's actually said anything yet in character, Krill's going to point at the large rune that he recognises and was previously told was Stone Giant, and he just reiterates to the party that one is Stone Giant.
And he sort of just bares his chest at the same time, and you sort of realise that your tattoo's not quite as good, and yours just says
I've had a really good session
to
of you
Ducken or
shitting
something.
on me, Nate.
So yeah, so you do that, and the rest of you, do you sort of share the other bits that you've spotted around and
Yeah.
stuff? And
Yeah, I think so.
okay. Harshnag sort of hears you having this conversation. He sort of wanders over towards the room, towards the archway, and he sort of listens to you sort of talking about the various runes. He says he points to the bottom, the one at the bottom left, and he says, well, that is the rune for frost giants. I do not recognize the others. I'm not familiar with their runes, but I know that is the ice rune, which signifies the frost giants.
Krill repeats what he did previously, just this time within
Louder.
within earshot of Harshnag. That one says Stone Giant, and again bears his chest.
Oh, I had heard many jokes of the krill tattoo. I had not seen it with my own eyes. It is some artwork, I can tell you.
Thanks.
Okay. This archway is. I do not know what this is. I do not know what is behind it.
Would you recommend against me stepping through it?
I am alive today by not stepping through glowing archways that I do not understand. So, if you wish to do this, Krill, you have my blessing. But I think that it is. I think we should understand it more before we do anything. Personally,
I'm gonna send Vin in.
okay.
Or we could send Sebastian through.
Yeah, Vin is probably.
Why would we send Sebastian through?
Why wouldn't we send Sebastian through?
Because we
'Cause
can't
we don't-
communicate with him when he's on the other side.
I can communicate. I can do the animal connection ritual
Could it-
thing,
Well, it could be dangerous, couldn't it? We wouldn't
and that's
know.
exactly why we should send him through.
Why have you guys got hatred against him? I don't understand.
Because he came to Greg
Yeah,
once.
did you forget the bit where I said, "Oh my god, I've missed you so much. I'm so glad that we're reunited after this time apart." And he went, "Yeah, fuck off. Where's Greg?"
Yeah.
You should have rolled better, mate. That's all I'm saying. Right. Okay. So who are you sending through then? Let's get a poll on this.
I
Is
think
it
Vin.
Sebastian
Vin.
or is it Vin?
Vin.
Vin.
Greg.
Yeah.
No, Greg actually. Greg's one.
I think we go with the original
Okay.
idea and send Krill through. He seemed eager for it.
I think we all
I'll-
hold hands, walk through together, and if that's the end of the podcast, so be it.
Okay. You.
I'm going to tell Vin to go through, wait for, I don't know, 5 seconds or so, and then come back just in case I lose contact with him on the other side.
Okay.
But I'll try and keep contact with him, like
Okay.
telepathically or whatever.
Fine. Okay. So where is he at the moment? On your shoulder or something? Is that where he sort of tends to perch? Okay. So Vin sort of like you communicate to him, and Vin goes flying off into the air and goes soaring towards this archway. Can I get a Constitution saving throw from Vin, please?
Oh,
Glad I didn't go through, to be fair.
I need to find stats for an owl.
plus
Weird that I haven't got
plus
these up.
7 for con saves for owls.
+7. That's very different from the -1 I've got. 4.
Okay. Vin goes soaring towards this archway, and you see like the mists envelop him. And then a split second later, you hear the sound of an owl hitting a wall and falling to the floor, and he is now stunned for 1 minute. Not dead, but confused somewhat by the fact that you've just thrown him into a wall, essentially.
I'll pick him up and just hold him until he comes round.
Okay. As you do so, I mean, he's fallen within the mists itself, so you sort of reach into the mists.
Yeah, I think I will.
Okay.
Do I have to roll
You
a
put your
con
arm-
saving thing?
Okay. No, you don't have to. You do so. You reach in gingerly, because obviously you can probably sense to some degree what's happened. But certainly a bit of common sense of hearing the noise and everything. You sort of like just tentatively step into these mists, because these mists are obviously, given the comparative size of the archway and everything, probably completely cover you. And you sort of walk in to try and reach to where you think he may have landed, and you pick him up. And while you're there, you actually sense that beyond this, you can actually, as you get sort of further into it, you can see there's a bit of darkness, and you can actually reach out your hand and you feel cold, hard rock, stone at the back of this. Roll me an intelligence, Dabov.
Oh, Jesus, that's not good. 5.
5. Okay, you don't necessarily think too much of this, but you leave at this point, or you stay in there. You pick up Vin and you see that his pride is hurt more than his beak.
Yeah, I'll just pick him up and then just say there's a wall on the other side of that, as if people couldn't already tell by the fact that the owl just fell to the floor.
Yeah. The other 4 of you then give me an intelligence roll, please. Gregor, advantage.
Oh, that's what I wanted to hear.
9. 10. 10.
10.
15.
15. Krill, Dweezil, either of you better that?
5.
Then 9.
I'm still with a 5. I'm still pretty convinced I should try go through it.
I think Greg's is just enough to put his arcane knowledge to the test, and with these runes, with the weird glowing mist, with the fact that there's still a wall the other side of it, you sort of put everything together and you realise that clearly this is a walkway, but it's somewhat sort of multi-dimensional or something like that. It needs to be triggered to open up where you need to be going.
Lovely.
What
Okay,
happens?
I'll relay that information back to the team, or say you've got to have the heart of a giant. Maybe Krill should give it a go.
What about if we try and touch one of the runes?
Okay.
Yeah, Crow's gonna. I mean, how high is the highest one?
So this, as I say, this whole archway is about 40 foot in total. So the realistically, from your height, you would only be able to reach the one to the bottom left and one to the bottom right. The one to the bottom right, is the Frost Giant rune, and the one to the left, you don't actually know what that is currently. But they're certainly high. They're certainly low enough that you can sort of basically touch
Okay,
the lowest.
let me do Frost. I think if we were to logically open a gate to something Frost Giant-y, at least we've got a Frost Giant to potentially calm any situation that might arise. So I'm going to try and touch the Frost Giant one.
Okay. And what are you touching it with? Sorry. Your hand?
Yeah, my hand.
Okay. You inch your hand closer and closer to this rune, and as you're getting closer, even you, who's not necessarily a magic user, maybe something within your blood from your mother's side or something like that, you start feeling a bit of an arcane energy, and you definitely sense that the whole you don't know what magic is really. It's not something that you perform and things like that. But even you, with your stuff, you can tell that there is something magical about this whole place, and let alone this archway itself. Your hand inches towards it, and you press on this thing. And bearing in mind, like I say, because of the size of this, each of these carvings, these are not thin carvings by any means. They're quite large trenches within the rock itself, enough that you can fit pretty much all of your hand within these. You lay your hand against it, and you feel the cold mithril against your hand. Can I get from all of you a dexterity saving throw, please?
Interesting.
Will I get the advantage of it being something I can see?
Nope, because you can't see it.
Sorry, lads.
So at this point, you can't see it anyway.
Is this a saving throw, did you say?
That is an 18 from Greg.
Dex saving throw, yeah.
26 from Dweezil.
And is this to
26
take,
from Dweezil. Greg's was 18.
Is this to take full damage or half damage?
You'll find out in a second.
Because I need to know if I need to roll advantage for my evasion.
Roll advantage and give me both. Krill?
Can I go last?
Yeah. Okay, Quinch?
7.
Oh,
7.
also 7.
Okay, the barbs are at 7.
23 or 21.
Oh, you're
23
fine,
or
mate,
21.
yeah.
Okay, you're fine. You're fine on both those. I won't tell you anything more than that. You're fine on both those. Okay. All of a sudden, as you touch it, you suddenly hear above you like this whistle as if something is falling, and you look up far too late to notice to notice these chunks of ice that are falling from above you. So this is why you wouldn't have seen it. It was above you. You let's just roll this damage then. This ice falls to the ground, and hang on a second, let me get the D6s as well. So you take 5 bludgeoning damage.
Oh.
Those that saved take half.
So 2.
So pretty much actually, yeah. As well as hang on. As well as 11 cold damage, as these chunks of ice just almost appear from nowhere, fall to the ground, and shatter amongst all of you.
Do we
what
take
does
half
it
from
say?
the cold as well?
Yeah.
No, yes. So you'll take half of that as well.
I read my evasion wrong. I didn't get advantage, so I'll call it 21. I don't know if that makes a difference. The lower of the two.
No, it doesn't. You still succeeded.
So instead of taking half, I take none because of evasion. So I don't know
Because
if that
Greg
Right. Okay.
hasn't
includes
been
both.
held up from getting battered by the bitch that's still with us.
Did that put you on your ass?
No, but you could roll my health on a d6, shall we say?
Okay, I thought, I'm also not feeling the best.
So what I was going to say is I think I've got a potion. Could I drink it?
Okay. Well, yeah. So let me just finish out this. So these large hailstones, just fall from the sky, crashing about you, and now there is this difficult terrain all around this area. These actually create sort of like 20-foot radius points of ice. So pretty much that's covered all of that area that you're stood in, pretty much all the way out. And obviously this hit Harshnag as well. So it pretty much covers everywhere that you can see at this point. Just with lots of these ice shards, and you will take your respective damage. In terms of the healing, obviously, do what you wish to do. I mean, it is in terms of day. You could take a short rest if you particularly wanted to. If that was more
Let's do
beneficial
that,
to
and
you.
then we can hit dice it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sort of Krill sort of realizes what he's done. Krill realizes that touching this rune in the way he's touched it is not the best thing to have done. And you probably all just have a little bit of a maybe it's let's just take a moment to think about what we're doing to perhaps heal up and have a think about what our next move is going to be. So yeah, we'll take a short rest. Do any of you get anything much back on a short rest?
Yeah, loads.
I get.
What,
I
while
just
looking at
just hit dice.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Hit dice, but I'm back on full health, so it doesn't matter. That's only because I've got like very little health though, so you know.
And I've only used 1 out of 4 rages, so I'm sort of alright.
Just out of interest, what is, let's say, Krill's maximum health?
Him at full health?
Yeah.
68.
Okay, I'm not that much though. I'm on 52 and I thought that was ridiculously low.
Sorry, what Krill's? Oh, I suppose he's.
He doesn't got much in the con, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, Krill doesn't have much of a con modifier.
+2 on the con.
Oh, that's not too bad. Whereas I feel like Greg's super conned.
Yeah.
Okay, you have your hour's break, sit down, have some sandwiches, have your Dairy Lee Dunkers, and you come out the other end of your rest. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go?
I feel like
What do you want to try?
this obviously needs to be disarmed, a bit like the doors in the other room. So I feel like we need to go through one of the other doors, like either the one to the north or the south of us. I don't know which ones that you would like to go through first. I would like to know what our shaman friend is doing with us.
Well, she's not with you. She stayed out.
Oh, she stayed outside.
in the-
I thought she came.
She stayed out with the barbarian corpses.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Any preference on if we go up or down then?
I hope she's not trying to rehydrate the corpses somehow.
I'm not going to roleplay that. Yeah, do you
Go
For the
north.
sake of picking a direction.
All right. Yeah, we're going north then.
Yeah.
go north?
Yep.
Okie dokie. Right, you head up towards the north of the hall. Obviously, like I say, it's worth noting this place is absolutely huge. So, like, you getting from one side of the room to the other can take, quite a while in consideration of realistically how far you've got to go. Let me just double check where I am. Okie dokie. You head on up, and there are these two sets of doors. As with everything else in this room, they are absolutely coated in ice. You know that although you can see beyond and you can see that there are these doors there, you can't quite get to them at the moment because of this thick sheet of ice. You do have some options on how to deal with this. You can obviously start chipping away at it with weapons. Obviously, Harshnag will happily get involved in that, which will cut down the time considerably. You can try and fireball it and melt it fairly instantly, but obviously that would be using a resource. How do you wish to attack these, so to speak?
You don't
Can
do
my-
something quench.
Yeah, can my ignite do anything at all?
It won't instantly melt it by any means, but it would certainly. I mean, you could do a combination of the two. You could maybe be trying to put some heat into this at the same time people are chipping away at it and sort of make it a little bit easier for them. I would say if the five of you were to attack this with just your general weapons, right? Let's leave Harshnag out for a second. You probably estimate it would take you about an hour to get through all this ice and to be able to get to the doorways. What I'll say is with Harshnag, that would cut that down to about half an hour. And with the heat, we'll cut that down to about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You sort of all collectively putting your various powers to some use.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sounds like it's worth doing.
You got a problem
yeah.
with that, Dweezil? Or?
I'm just trying to think if there's a better.
So looking at the fire giant statue, how big are the weapons these things are holding?
The weapons the statues are holding.
Yeah.
Oh, they're quite big. I mean, even for Harshnag, they would look big.
Okay, I didn't know if we could
Because bearing in mind, he's about 22 foot, something like that, right? These are almost double his size, and these weapons that they're wielding are, in keeping with their size.
Yeah.
He could definitely lift them, but it would look comical.
That's fine. I didn't know if
Imagine
the
it'd be the
fire
equivalent of you
giants-
holding like a Final Fantasy sword.
Okay, I didn't know if the weapon would have some sort of special flame quality that we could try and make use of.
You can. I mean, if you want to ask him to lift one of these.
Do we think that's worth trying?
Give it a go.
Would
If he
be,
doesn't think it's blasphemous.
Yeah, that's the thing. Would he be willing to do that? Is it wrong to? I think we just need to approach it with tact. Not, hey, Harshnag, why don't you grab one of these magic holy weapons and smash this door with it?
All right there, Dweezil, let's go for it.
Are they scouts now?
What's up, G?
Harshnag, breaking through the ice on this door is going to prove to be incredibly difficult, even for all of us and your might. Do you think there is anything in? Would any of these holy weapons? Would it be sacrilegious to try and use one of them?
It is an interesting question you pose, Dweezil. I have been thinking something similar myself about these weapons. I find it somewhat confusing that these weapons are not made of stone. If these were just there for ceremonial purposes, or they were indicative of the giants themselves, I would have thought that they would have carved them from stone. But the fact that these weapons are made of steel and iron and bone, it's curious. So it makes me think that perhaps someone was intended to carry them at some point, but under what circumstances, I do not know. If you wish for Harshnag to try, I see no reason right now to think that it would be blasphemous for me to hold it. It may be, but I've got no evidence to suggest it would be. So if you wish me to try, I would be more than willing to do this for the greater cause.
Another delicious episode in the can. Thanks for listening. You can find us on social media. Maybe you could share your favourite moments with us. If you have any friends or family that you think would enjoy the antics of the circus, we'd appreciate it if you told them about our podcast. What is this voice? I don't know, but isn't it just so?
If you have any spare change, you can support us financially on Ko-fi. It is of paramount importance that you do so.
Open square bracket. Hi lads, here's the script for the outro I'm planning to record. I don't know how to end it, so let me know if you can think of anything witty to finish it at. Oh.